completely understand that that was a frightening and difficult situation that you were in. I understand from my notes that there had been a crime committed by somebody in a vehicle very similar to yours in the immediate vicinity, and the police stopped you and controlled the situation until they got further information that gave a description of the suspect, and they did ultimately let you go. I understand further that you have filed an IAG complaint, which anytime that you feel you have not been treated appropriately by the police, I would encourage anyone to do. But my understanding in this particular circumstance is that the police acted within the bounds of their job. They did not know that you weren't the person who had just committed a crime, and that if they did anything beyond that, mistreated you in any way, or did something inappropriate, that your IAD complaint will address that. I also understand that you're going to be given a chance for a mediation within the department to get more complete information from the officers who were involved, and I hope you take advantage of that. Because my understanding, and there are two former police officers here in the chamber, but that in a situation like that, they're just as anxious and concerned as you are, because, you know, I don't know the particular crime, but, you know, whether they think you just robbed a bank or severely injured somebody, anxiety is high on both sides. And these kind of situations do unfortunately occur. But I offer an apology that you happen to be caught up in something that had nothing to do with you.
Also my kids, that's the only memory they have. All these officers pointing their weapons at.
Which is why I would suggest that since the department has offered a mediation, that is an opportunity to actually sit down with some of the officers. It might be a good thing for your kids to be part of that, so they can understand what was going on the other side. But there are council members in the queue. Councilmember Green.
Thank you, Mayor. Did you need to go ahead on and finish your statement?
Well,
are you finished?
I mean, they, all of a sudden they released me, came to the back and released me, took me out and took the handcuffs off. He didn't say a word, didn't tell me anything until I was scared to drive again.
And so, are you here requesting an apology from those individual officers?
Yes,
Let me just say this. Let me apologize for them. I just have to say, and I do understand that they were doing their job essentially. However, to be publicly humiliated in front of your children, to me, that's just I understand how upsetting that would be, being an African American male, having been stopped by the police, and having to endure the humiliation in front of your children. Okay, I get it. So I'm going to apologize, okay, for that. But I do think you need to take advantage of what the mayor has offered with regard to the mediation. Get an opportunity to hear what was going on in their mind, why they handled the situation as they did. I think for the most part it might make you get a sense of why what did transpire. I would also probably offer that you probably take your sons there to that. As we grow up being African American male, we try to teach our sons that, dealing with the law, that, we make those sharp moves, we put our hands on the steering wheel, so, they understand that there's, that we're not reaching for a gun, because there's always a presumption, if you will. And so I want to make sure that, they learn from this experience, that we make this a teachable moment to them with regard to what transpired. But then we also want them to understand that there's two sides, that the police in this instance was probably given some wrong information or were under the assumption, and that's why they did what they did. But I think you got half the story. I think you owe it to yourself and to your sons to get the other half of the story, and I think the mediation process will do that.
All right.
Thank you.
Sir? there are, is there a motion to extend time?
Second.
Discussion, favoring, opposed, motion carries. There are a couple of council members still in the queue. Councilmember Noriega. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry that happened to you, and I'm sorry it happened to your children. I have a 15-year-old son. Something like that would upset him terribly. And, you know, there's something really powerful about looking somebody in the eye and telling them what they did affected you and how you felt about it. I think Councilmember Green's suggestion that you take your children, I don't know if that's how they do it, but they might write the officers a letter. And you take that, and then they go or not go as it is appropriate. I think that opportunity is as important for them as it is for you. And it isn't just a teachable moment for them, it's a teachable moment for officers as well. I think it makes everything work better as you go forward if people have a chance to have their say about what happens to them. So you are giving them at some level a gift as well as having your opportunity to share with them what this was like for you. Anyway, I'm really sorry. Vice Mayor Pro Tem Bradford.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. Mr. Bradley, thanks for coming down. This situation needs to be investigated, and fully investigated. It is not uncommon for police officers to receive preliminary or partial information concerning suspect vehicles. That doesn't relieve them of their responsibility to exercise due diligence. We know as police officers, the information we have received may be inaccurate. So we need to determine what specific information the officers had at the time they executed your stop, and did they act reasonably given that information they had at the time. As an example, were there specific license plates attached to the vehicle that they were looking for in your vehicle? In addition to that, were there reports that there were children in the car? These are the types of things that need to be examined specifically. We don't want you to get hurt or embarrassed or humiliated, nor your children, but we don't want our officers injured either out there. They're trained to handle situations differently given the information that they have. Again, just because they received information that a vehicle like yours had committed a crime doesn't necessarily warrant the type of stop that you have described. I don't know. It needs to be investigated. Also, it wouldn't have taken that much after they had received the information and the scene was under control to come and talk to you subsequently and let you know why they did what they did. If they were too overcharged and too involved and maybe embarrassed, why not a field supervisor? They are there, they're present. Why not a field supervisor approach you at the end? Mr. Bradley, this is what happened. We apologize for it occurring, but understand this is what we thought was going on. That could have happened. And you're standing here testifying today that that hasn't happened as of today, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so that's the concern I have. I have concern that it needs to be investigated, and let's see, did the officers act reasonably given what they had? And as has been offered by you, by the mayor and other council members around this table, I extend to you my apology on behalf of our city and the Houston Police Department. Know too that those things happen, but just to say, they happen, we're sorry, nothing can take back the experience, the tragedy that you and your family have suffered. You have to live with that. But the whole idea of sitting down, talking about it, working your way through it, I think that can be helpful. But try to understand again, and I know it's difficult because you on the side of the road, you're stretched eagle, the guns pointed at you, it's very difficult for you to accept that how the Houston Police Department can make such a tragic error when here you are, family man, traveling with your family, hadn't done anything wrong, and no one will tell you why you've been treated the way you've been treated. So there's no excuse for that. Thank you.
Councilmember Brooks.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to say, I was taking notes as you were bringing it to our attention. And I understand how you feel. Matter of fact, I've been in a position before. But something my dad used to tell me a long time ago, let's make lemons. When they give you lemons, let's make some lemonade. Let's try to gain, motion extended. Let's try to gain, something good out of this. And that's what we owe our children. Something good has to come out of this. And so as my colleagues have asked you to bring your kids, your sons, 11, 16, and 17-year-olds, bring them to the negotiation table. Bring them there, let these officers say something to them, because I understand what you didn't know, but then at the same time, they didn't know either. Remember, there's another side of this. They didn't know. They were doing their job. As you set it up, they were coming down the freeway. They were setting up. You saw them set up, but at the same time, you didn't know, and they didn't know. And so, ignorance is something else, but you want to know what? You want to know what was going on at that time. Now imagine if they got the right person. That'd have been one person off the street protecting you. So I want you to see it. Look for the good side of this thing here. You got out, you got up, you got back in your car, you were shaking as can be. I know what you were doing. You couldn't even drive right at that moment because it was so sudden on you. It was like PTSD all over again. But you're here now. Thank God you're here. That's who the praise needs to go to. Your boys are safe, you're safe, and our city is safer because our people in blue were doing their job. Now, they didn't know either. They're only going by what they hear. Only going by what they were told. But they didn't shoot anyone. I know it's traumatic. I'm sorry for that. But let's make some lemonade out of this lemon. Okay? Thank you very much.
Again, we apologize for the incident, and glad that you came down, and, Councilman Brad.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to thank the mayor for taking the lead on offering her apologies on behalf of the city and the Houston Police Department. So I just want to apologize as well for what has occurred, and I agree with my colleagues about to go through the process and just, it's just a sad thing that this actually happened to you, and I can't even imagine the feelings that you had to go through and what your children had to experience. Matter of fact, and your family, because it just don't only affect you, it affects everyone that's around you. So I just want to, just to offer my apologies as well, and support the mayor in taking the lead on that, and and just say we did something wrong, but in the access of the height of what was going on. So I just wanted to say that I'm sorry too on behalf of the city.
Councilmember Bradford.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley. I want to just reiterate one other point. It's important that you have the information that you're seeking. It's not enough to say the police officers were doing their job and they were acting on what they thought. HPD runs deep in my blood, but I'll say this to you. It needs to be investigated. We want to make sure what information the officers had and what they acted upon. I don't want you to be driving a blue vehicle and they had information that it was a yellow or white vehicle. Let's investigate to determine what information the officers had at the time this incident happened, and was it reasonable the way they acted based on that information. So until the investigation is complete, don't you rest easy, because I want, at the end of the day, you to feel comfortable that there has been a full, thorough investigation which objectively substantiates the information the officers had, led them to reasonably believe that it was necessary to stop your vehicle with the level of force that they exhausted at that time. You understand where I'm coming from? And you want that investigation to go forward so you can get those questions answered, and that way you can maybe move forward a little bit more peacefully, other than just the officers were doing their job. It's more to it than that. let the investigation go forward. Thank you.
Thank you for coming down.
Thank you.